Do not buy max speeding rod coilovers for your Celica. Not for the reasons you think. I'm going to show you why soon. It is 2026, it's a new year. And I did promise you that there's going to be another little character that we're going to introduce. He is coming shortly, but first off, intro montage. I'm not going to put that on the internet. I'm going to get cancelled anyway for something.
I'm putting it on the internet.
Here he is, going full Italian with his name, Giovanni, named after my dad. Doesn't really talk much, mostly because he's 1 month old. Because of that, and because he really can't do anything more, he won't actually be assisting us with this episode. So I'm going to hand him back to Maddie. We'll get back into the Celica now with Mario for our pre-coilover road test. Welcome back, guys. We are here in the Royal National Park with Mario, cameraman usually. He's actually part of this episode today.
Yeah, sorry.
We are going to be testing out the suspension here because we have new coilovers for the Celica. So these are, what brand are they again? What's on them?
Red.
Red. Beep.
Max speeding rods.
Okay, so these are the budget coilover build. Let's see what these max speeding rod coilovers can do.
As a Volvo C30 owner, I do not condone the use of max speeding rods. I am not affiliated and I will not put them on my car. But hey, we're in a Celica.
So let's talk about the benefits of running coilovers. This is not a coilover. This is a coilover. Now, with the coilovers being stiffer, it means that when the car turns a corner and typically leans on that side, with the soft suspension, the car actually lifts a bit on the other side. That body roll being reduced by the stiffness of the spring actually keeps that other wheel on the ground better as the car stays more stable.
Coilovers are also usually ride height adjustable. Having the car lower means you have a lower center of gravity, again reducing that weight transfer mid-corner, keeping the car more stable all around.
Most coilovers have damping adjustment, and that's done via this dial up here. You can change how the shock behaves based on how stiff or how soft you want it. On top of that, you can change the spring rates by changing the springs out for other springs here, and some are actually even camber adjustable like these are at the tops.
So they're the good parts. But there are some drawbacks. Coilovers being stiffer will create a harsher ride. They can give you that sporty feel, but the road's never perfect like a racetrack. You're gonna feel every bump and pothole you go over. That's just a given. Plus, if it's too low, good luck getting over every speed bump or into your mate's driveway.
There is such a thing as too low. Personally, I prefer about a 2-finger gap. That with the wheel flush with the body, a little bit of clearance between that body and the tyre, and a little bit of camber says, I go to the track, but not so much camber where we've got that stance boy stuff. Coilovers aren't exactly legal, and that's because they are not a factory part, which kind of means you can get defected. But sometimes you can get around that with an engineering certificate. That costs a bit of money though. So for the most part, people end up just chucking them in and they kind of hope for the best, that they don't get in trouble.
Look, enough nerd shit. Let's get this stock suspension out of the car and put it.
You thought we were going to say in the bin, but no, we're not them. Let's get into it. Have you felt lift? Oh, we got a car coming.
Like an elevator?
We are not stopped on a public road.
We are in Mexico.
Let's go, wait for it. Did you feel it? Wait. No, I didn't feel it. Wait, you got to experience that again. That wasn't really that great.
Okay, I won't look, I won't sit there being like waiting for it to happen even though it's already happened.
Did you hear the crossover though? Listen for the crossover. We're just going to roll into it. Well, there it goes. You see that immediate wheel spin from the sheer power. Anyway, you know what? No matter how much fun we make of how little power these cars actually make, they turn really, really well and on track. I got outdone by one of these Celicas with a set of tyres and coilovers.
Well, you're saying it already turns so well.
Yeah.
But I feel like as part of the advantages of coilovers is it's going to turn so
make it
much
even better. Stop doesn't feel too bad. I think the rear shocks are gone. They've been gone for years now because every time we hit a bump, the back skips across.
Yeah, so like as you literally call it you're turning or there's any change in direction of the car and you hit any sort of inconsistency,
yeah,
it's like the car just gets dragged to the side.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever played like Frogger, for example. You literally that jump side to side, that's exactly what it feels
like. Is Frogger?
Considering you're old, you should know this.
I've heard of Frogger.
I don't know what Frogger is.
It's the game where you're the frog in traffic trying to avoid things you're going forward, left and right.
Why is it a
You
frog?
jam.
Why are you not a car trying to avoid traffic?
Why are you a YouTuber?
That actually brings another point to think of what a shock's actual purpose is. As you can imagine, suspension, you're bouncing over a million little things at once. The shock absorber is not just doing this really slowly and predictably. It's actually compressing and like extending so many times within a second. When they start to fail, the shock will compress way too easily, but it won't actually extend. So it compresses, and then instead of actually meeting the road again, it actually stays up in the air and it'll be off the ground for just a split second or just enough time so that the car is skipping around. Anyway, let's get to the garage and install these. We're gonna come back and test it again. As you can see, this car is very tall. And this is great for climbing medium strips across main roads to do U-turns, which I've never done before. But let's be real, it looks You know the first step already, but when you've got the car off the ground, make sure to secure it with jack stands. We'll be leaving the jack in there, not because we have to, but because it's not in the way and it works as added safety. We'll be starting from the front, and a quick look once this wheel's off shows the shock boot is torn and collapsed. If they're as old as the car, then these poor things have been working for 26 years, and I think it's time that they have a break. To get them out shouldn't take long, but that's what we all say before a 10-minute job takes 14 hours.
It's been 84 years.
First off, we're removing the little things, using a 14mm for our brake line and the sway bar link. You'll notice an Allen key bolt inside the nut for the sway bar link. This is just to hold the center straight, as it can rotate freely in some cases. Next are the two main bolts that mount the base, which are 19mm, to the wheel hub, and all that's left to do is remove the three nuts holding it from the top. These ones are 12mm nuts. Hold the suspension while doing this and guide it out so it doesn't damage anything or hurt you when it falls. So before we get them in the car, I'll show you a few different things about them. First thing you'll notice, the amount of coils on this spring compared to the factory one, and they are a bit thicker. Of course, they're being used for a different purpose, so it's going to be stiffer and less comfortable than what was here. You'll notice that the coilover is shorter, like it finishes up higher compared to the factory mount. We've got thread all the way down here, so we can actually just wind this out, so we'll get the same height as factory. All I'm going to do is chop it down a little bit to make it a little bit nicer looking. The only thing I do want to say in the negative side, we've got one weld that holds these mounts in place, where the factory is actually welded all the way around and down the side here and on the bottom. So it's actually quite strong stuff, and it's got extra bracing internally. I don't think that anyone has had an issue with these snapping. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm not the first one to find out. Either way, let's chuck them back in the car and see how this thing performs. Before we put them in, we still have the loose spring. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to break these collars loose. I'm not sure if the previous owner had them in there like this. I hope not. We just need to get this collar up so that it seats here and it's nice and snug. We'll give it that last little nip up and then lock it back in with the bottom collar. From there, we're also going to loosen this, stretch that out to the bottom, bring it about halfway back up. So we've probably got about that much thread in there. That's the same height that I've done over there. We're going to adjust the height of the car in general from there anyway. Fitting the coilovers is as easy as removal, but just in reverse. Feed them in from the bottom, lining them up with the 3 bolt holes in the strut tower. The ones that came with these are 15mm nuts. And then mount the bottom. We're going to have to lift. Okay, one in. And get that sway bar in there. Get this here, Allen key in. And that holds the center straight. And then a little bolt that holds the brake line. And also our sway bar linkage mount. Well, now it's time to get onto the back ones, and they look even simpler than the front ones, but they are surrounded by a few more parts in there. I've just done one side and it's actually not as easy. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so in reality it is actually kind of easy. There are only 3 bolts mounting it here, and then there's the 1 bolt on the bottom. But the bigger problem that I had is that it's really hard to get this lower arm here to go down far enough to actually pop that bolt out that holds the base in. Also, the top hat of the standard suspension is so tall
that you need a lot of movement to actually get that out.
Before getting yourself messy with all of that down there, it's a good idea to remove the boot trims first. Toyota made the front so easy, so it seems they obviously decided to mess with people for the rear. To access the rear strut bolts, you need to remove this one huge trim, conveniently clipped behind every single other boot trim. After removing that, I removed the bolts, and then, as I just explained, the bottom part had my battle trying to get the whole thing out. Looking at the two side by side, there are a few differences. The spring again is shorter and thicker, and the top hat is much shorter, which will make installing them a bit easier. Something concerning me at this point is that the coilovers only have 2 studs on the top mount, where factory have 3.
Also same on the last ones is the fact that the springs are loose. Now the reason that I said I hope the previous owner didn't do this, or didn't have it like this, is because this would cause some serious knocking. Every time you'd go over a bump and it would extend all the way, you'd have this making some form of knock sound surely. Same as the fronts, we are going to just nip them up, lock this, make sure it's all the way up. Not sure exactly how it's going to sit, but I think judging by the length of it, it's actually going to sit at the same height as it was. I really was hoping to go lower. I could be wrong, but we'll find out soon.
So I've put a nut and bolt in place of the missing studs for peace of mind, but seems we've come across another issue. Installing was still a bit annoying trying to line up that lower bolt, and as you can see the gap down there, that is not good. I ended up adding spacers to fill the gap and tighten it.
Moment of truth. Personally, I prefer about a 2-finger gap.
What the f*** have we done?
He's right. What have we done, people? We have the same height that we did when we started. This is the problem. So, excuse me, Max Beating Rods, what have you, you created a set of coilovers that people buy to lower their cars. It's taller than it was factory. You saw the threaded sections, I mentioned it while fitting it that I think it's going to be as tall as before, because you can't actually shorter than the factory shocks, which is, because I think it looks bad, and I wanted it to be low. I've dropped the front a tiny bit lower than factory. It's close to, because I didn't want to go too far and have it full on an angle there. The other negative is that the rear shocks, again, don't work. The whole car bounces around. It's like, you can actually see it keep moving. That's on its stiffest setting. But on the front, we have stiff, solid, perfect. That though hasn't really affected its ride because it feels fantastic. We've taken it through the corners, the bump steer is gone, and this car hooks so much better. Like I said, once we get that oil pan sorted and semis, maybe an LSD if money permits with time, this will be a track weapon and this is going to outdo the Supra, or at least match it. So let's get in the car. We're going to show you a little bit more of what Mr. Mario thinks, and we're going to put it through some of its paces.
Nasho! Windows. If you fart, I swear to God.
Well, we're back in the car. As you can see, we've been driving it for a little bit now and it feels fucking awesome, eh?
This feels so much better. Like before we were saying that like the whole back jumping around left and right, like it felt like it was all froggering all over the place. Now you know what that is.
I know, I'm old, but now I know.
Yes.
Very happy, very happy. As much as I'm disappointed with the height adjustability, which is just not there in the back. And the fact that even
failed the shoe test. Absolutely failed the shoe test.
Failed the shoe test, as you saw before. The upside though is that at factory height it is designed to perform in the way that it is. So getting the stiffer suspension at least did that part of it. It's not what we wanted, but it's a little bit better. And if it's a little bit better than it was, then we did something right.
So you're saying that modern Chinesium is better than stock from 30 years ago? Who would have thought?
Is it better? Yes. How long for is going to be the question to kind of win that argument or not as to whether it's better. But yeah, no, it feels great. It feels great.
Nah, like even from my side, I don't feel like I'm gonna die going through this at any speed.
Yeah,
like before, I was a little bit nervous. Like going through here, like, oh shit. Like I know you've got the nondescript tires from God knows where, same factory as Max Speeding Rods. But see, I don't feel like I'm gonna die as much now.
Yeah, no, I don't at all. It's actually so smooth. And I didn't expect it because I thought it was the tyres when we came here last time. I thought, as the driver, pretending to be confident, I was like, this car is not going where I want it to. But now, I'm like, damn. It excites me for what semis are going to do when the semis go on the car. Imagine what a good coilover would do.
You're really saying that you also do not condone the use of max speeding rods and are not affiliated with them in any way, shape or form?
I wouldn't buy max speeding rod coilovers. No offense. No lawsuits, please. If I paid full price for these, which is close to $500, no. If I did that purposefully to lower my car and get the performance benefit, I would be like, are you serious? And then I'd have to buy new. So that's where they say
you don't get the lowering, so you wouldn't even get what you're trying to buy.
Exactly. So that's where it's like, it's stupid because you buy cheap, you buy twice or whatever. Definitely true. I paid $150 for these things to see what they would do, and
that's like 100 Freedom Eagles for anyone asking at home.
Yeah, we're going to change them in future, but otherwise, I think we can call that myth busted. The cheapest coilovers are still an upgrade, and I like them. I'm happy with them for that price.
$1 more, no good.
If it was $151, no.